Om Shanti. Today Baba in the Murli says that in India we say God is our mother and father. And when we say that, and it is in bhakti that we say that God is our mother and father. And sannyasis don't say God is my mother and father. They say God is Brahma Tattva. So they don't talk about a relationship with God as the parent. So there's a difference in that. And there are many countries, many religions where they don't say God is the mother and father. They talk about God as only the father. So Baba says, those who think that Brahma is God get nothing. Those who think that God is the father will at least go with me to the soul world. So they will remember me and take the inheritance of going back to the soul world. And those who will make the effort to experience all relationships with Baba will be able to take the whole inheritance from Baba, and we will be able to go to that world of happiness also. So Baba is the bestower, Baba is the ocean, and what we become in the company of Baba will depend on how we see this relationship with Baba. So if I am able to experience all relationships with Baba, then I'll be able to take everything from Baba with that love, with that experience of the relationship. So Baba says this, and then Baba says that in the world they say God is Karan Karavanhar. So they say that God creates, and Baba says that God is remembered as Karan Karavanhar. He carries out establishment through Brahma. So when we say Karan Karavanhar, it means उनका करवाना ही उनका करना है. So the task he does is he carries out the task of establishment through Brahma. So Brahma Baba and Shiv Baba do it together, and that's why God is called Karan Karavanhar, and then he is called Akarta Bhokta, which means he doesn't do anything and he doesn't come into the cycle of karma and the return of karma. So Baba says, how I do things is I do it through Brahma. So Brahma Baba becomes the instrument, and then Brahma Baba gets the return of it. So Baba says, I am Karan Karavanhar and I carry out establishment through Brahma. How does he get that done? That he himself comes and tells you, because nobody understands that. He just enters, that Supreme Soul enters and sits in the forehead of Brahma Baba, and then he starts giving the knowledge. And the knowledge is so powerful, the truth is so powerful that it sets the world free. So we never thought that this is the way, and the reason why this world is a miserable place is because we are away from the truth. So Baba says, I am called the true father, the true teacher, and the true guru. So Baba is called Sat Baba, Sat Shikshak, and Sat Guru, and he establishes Sat Yug. But Baba says nobody understands how this whole world is operating on false belief systems and is not in alignment with the true nature of the soul. And then Baba brings that all about, and that's how he creates Satyug. So he says that he comes and tells how he does it. People don't know anything at all. They say God is Karan Karavanhar. Now you also know the drama. Now Baba says, I have made you like me, so you know what I know now. And only the confluence of the end of the Iron Age and the beginning of the Golden Age should be considered as elevated. So it is only at this time that, so in Gita it is said, Yuge Yuge God comes. So at the end of every yug and beginning of another yug, God comes. But Baba says, no, I only come at the end, and at the end of the Kali Yuga and the beginning of the Satyug. At that confluence I come and I do my work, Karan Karavanhar's work of carrying out the establishment of Satyug through Brahma Baba. And then Baba today says, who has the biggest family and how? So, people say that God, what does God know about family? God doesn't have a family. So, so Baba says, I have the biggest family. And, it is interesting, how God is the biggest grihasthi, and yet God is a sannyasi. So so it's like, in the depiction of Shankar also, we do that in bhakti. What we do is we show him with a full household, and then we show him as a ascetic, somebody who is a sannyasi, so a tapasvi. So Baba says, in the sannyas marg, they see God as someone who has no family. So, they look at God as Brahma. And in Bhakti Marg, they talk about God as a grihasthi. So, we don't know God in Bhakti, so we talk about deities, and we talk about how they are parents and they have children, and they rule and all of that stuff. So Baba says, when I am in this soul world, you are my children, and of course everyone is my child, but then I do not perform the role of a parent there. So, Baba doesn't, so there is no care needed. So we children are also in a state of completeness and peace, and Baba is also like that. And Baba says, when I come here in the confluence age, then I am the biggest family person, and then I take care of all of you children very practically. And many of you have come later, so there is you've not seen Bab Dada Milan. So now when there is Bab Dada Milan, we announce, and you are able to watch it on on the live stream, which is a recorded live these days. But we went for the live streaming. So when Bab Dada used to come, so we used to go and meet Baba. So I have seen Baba in the family, and it's a very beautiful scene to watch. So when Baba would finish his murli, he would ask children, "Ab kya karna hai?" So he would he would actually ask children, what is the plan and what do you want me to do next? And then the Didi would stand up and she would say that, okay, Baba, now you can meet the children who have come from foreign lands, and then you can meet the group that was entrusted with the seva this turn. And then it would be announced, and Baba would just follow suit. So Baba would do as he said. And then, sometimes Baba would also be asked that, Baba, now you give yad pyar. So now you give salutations. So Baba is such a family person, and Baba says, I do my bit and then I surrender to you children also. And that's a very beautiful part that we saw in action. And Baba says, in this practically, in this confluence age, I come and become the parent. And you see that the soul has been an orphan for many births. So, the situation of an orphan. So, an orphan has a lot of worry. So, there is no, although we had physical parents, and sometimes we didn't worry about, so some of us were fortunate enough to have physical parents, and most of us were. And then those physical parents took care of the clothing and the food and the education. So we didn't worry about that. But there are other things which we always worried about, like future. We always thought, even if, there is the child of a multimillionaire, he worries about the future. So there is worry about the future. There is this craving for peace and happiness, and this confusion about how to feel secure and how to feel powerful. So all of that was there because we've been spiritual orphans for 63 births. And now that we have a parent, so this is a very interesting feeling because now we don't worry about this stuff. And one thing that I realized when I came to Gyan was I didn't worry about the future now. So every time I thought about the future, I had this thought, okay, so I am doing my Purusharth, I am going to Satyug. So Baba says today that I am your true father, true parent, true mother, teacher, and Satguru. And even if somebody studies the best of education, there are still questions that keep troubling them. So, because you're studying from a human teacher, a limited teacher, and not the unlimited teacher. So, there are questions which, I will tell you this, I have shared this previously also, and this is a very interesting experience. So there is a sister and she's a psychiatrist, and we conducted a program together some time back. And then in that program, she discussed how, there are the stages of development in children, and how children, while they are growing up, they need attachment. So, they need the physical attachment from parents up to a certain age. And then they need detachment, so that parents have to set them free also. So all that was discussed, and how things go wrong in that process, and then how there are problems in the personality coming up. And she discussed all of that. And then in the crowd, there was a lot of thinking about what they did wrong to children, or children thought about what was done wrong to them. So there was a lot of this kind of discussion. And then I talked about the spiritual part. And then when we were coming back, I told that sister, how do you explain that child who is immediately after he's born, he's left in an orphanage, and then later on he becomes a good human being with, achievements and everything. And then how do you explain somebody who got everything according to what the science says, but he has turned out to be a burden. So he's not taking care of himself, or he's not even feeling responsible for himself. So how do you explain this? So she said, you see, sister, we cannot explain everything. That's why we come to Baba. And she said that there are numerous questions in every field which nobody can explain. And that's why we just earn an income out of whatever we know. And she said that. And she said, and in limited measures, it helps also. But then sometimes, it helps us manage the situation, but it's not about growth and development. So we cannot talk about we talk about corrections sometimes. So sometimes we identify what was wrong, we correct it, but we don't talk about elevating the stage. We cannot do that. So we talk about correction, we find out the mistakes, we fill in the gaps, but what you build on that, structure with filled gaps, that is the work of God. And apart from God, nobody can do it. And she's in Gyan, so obviously she knows the difference between what Baba is giving and what other people are giving. And so Baba in the Murli also today says that I am the supreme teacher, and that's true. So, there are so many factors apart from physical factors. So, so science or social science or every other science, they take into account the correction of the physical factors that have not been taken care of. Yes, but when you talk about the other factors like karma and the time factor and other things, that only Baba can teach us. So Baba says, I am the supreme teacher, and when you learn from me, then, and I will tell you about controlling the physical factors or taking care of the physical factors also. Even if you are not educated in science or social science, when you meditate, you have an intuition that works well. And with that intuition and with that power of consciousness, Prakriti will start cooperating with you. So the physical factors can be, with this. Today Baba also talks about regard. So when you have regard for who you are, and you treat the universe, whether it's the souls or matter around you, with regard, then they automatically become cooperative with you. So I think in that sense, even if you are not educated in the worldly way, if you are educated by the supreme teacher, that is enough. But even if you are educated in every worldly way and not educated by the supreme teacher, there will be gaps. So this is something that Baba says, that I am the supreme father, the supreme teacher, and the supreme Satguru. So about Satguru, Baba says today, a guru guides you to liberation. All of those are false, where this one is the truth. Because in the world, I have not seen any guru taking his followers with him when he when he claims to go to liberation. So, sometimes, so nobody goes to liberation, that's another story. But then, even those who claim to go to liberation, they don't take their followers along. So, Baba says, I am the one who guides you to liberation, and that's the job of a guru. So, I am the true Satguru also. And Baba says, in this Sangam Yug, I am practically playing the role of your parent, teacher, and Satguru, and that to the Supreme One. And when you start coming into relationship with me as my child, student, and the shishya, the guru. So if you just have your attitude of complete surrender, because in the world also we are trained to have complete surrender for these three authorities. So Baba says, when you have a mind which is completely surrendered to my authority in these three areas, and you don't entertain any doubt, you don't entertain any lack of faith, and you do as I say, then I make you the king of heaven, which is the highest you can be. Okay, so this is what Baba says. Now today Baba says, don't become an ak flower, so become a fragrant rose. So Baba says, in bhakti people offer ak flower to Shiva, and Baba says that when I come, you are all full of thorns and without qualities. So okay, I embrace you as you are, but then now I'm changing you into a fragrant rose. So become that. Don't continue to be an ak flower after you've come to me, because I'm giving you every virtue, every quality that you need to turn yourself into a fragrant rose. And then Baba today says, so I will read out, there's a whole paragraph, and listen carefully and then we'll understand. Baba says, for instance, if this one makes a mistake, it is fixed in the drama for that one to rectify the mistake. Now, when you receive a direction from the yajna, so after Brahma Baba, we generally don't give personal directions. So, we generally don't give personal directions. We tell you the Srimad, so we explain to you what Baba says, and then everybody makes their choices, right, based on Srimad. But when Brahma Baba was there, then children used to ask very practical directions also, like whether I should buy this property, or whether I should sell this thing, or whether I should invest in this business or something. And then Baba says today that even if you received a direction and it looked like a mistake, so sometimes, you think that if you follow this, you will get this, but then it didn't turn out that way. Then Baba says, I take the responsibility of making the word of Brahma right. So Shiv Baba has given this one power. So, he has given this one discretion to Brahma Baba, that you can say things, you can suggest, and if it doesn't turn out right, I will make it right. And Baba says that there would be benefit in that too, because this one is the eldest child. Now, how do we translate this into our time? So in the current time, how do we understand this? So these days also, when you follow Srimad, so when you read something in the Murli and then you understand it in the right context, Because sometimes, there are some children who don't understand the Murli in the right context, and that's why it is recommended that you don't try to read the Murli on your own, rather listen it from how we explain it, and also attend the Manthan class so that we are able to get the right perspective. Now, let's say you have understood something in the right perspective and then done as Baba says, and then you felt like it didn't turn out the way you thought it would turn out. Okay, so Baba says, I take responsibility of that. Don't you think that when you followed Srimad, you will ever be in loss? So maybe it didn't turn out immediately the way you expected, but then there won't be loss in the long run. Okay, so Baba says, there would be benefit in that too, because this one is the eldest child. Everything depends on this one, and there won't be any loss through this one, which means there will never be loss if you follow Srimad. When this one says do this, you should do it. Some benefit would then emerge even from a loss. There is no question of any loss. There is nothing but benefit in every aspect. Any loss is also fixed in the drama. Now, what Baba says is, you must also understand that while following Srimad, you will also settle your karmic accounts. Yes, so that karmic account which will come up in the form of a situation which will feel like an abuse, which will feel like a loss, which will feel like an insult, yes, which has the capacity to feel like all of those things. But Baba says, if you just see through it, you will be able to see that basically it's neither an insult nor a loss, nothing else. You benefited out of it. So Baba says, keep this in mind, that while you're following Srimad, you will also settle your karmic accounts. And get this very straight, settlement of a karmic account doesn't mean you will incur losses and have insults. No. See, feeling insulted is a sanskar. Feeling loss is a sanskar. Okay, and once you work on that, you understand that whatever is happening is completely unrelated to how you are feeling. Yes, so something comes, something goes is the law of nature. But I found something, I lost something is a sanskar you've created. So basically there is no loss. And when Baba says you will not be in loss, it means that at the end of this journey, you will have everything, even that coming and going will be there in Satyug also. But then whatever you will have and whatever you will do will be of much better quality than right now. So Baba says, just trust that whatever you are doing on Srimad is leading you to that age and that yug and that world where everything will be much better than what you have now. And just do away with this loss and gain thing, because ultimately the total energy in the universe is constant always. So there is only this attachment and this vices and other stuff which makes you feel you are in loss. And a very interesting explanation for this is that if you find something before you lose another thing, you don't feel the loss. Yes, so you see, marriage is such a loss. You lose the two people who raised you, but then because you find a husband before that, you don't feel the loss. Yes, and if you don't find that one, and then you're kind of weaning away from them even when you have a choice. So you always want to move forward, don't you? Nobody wants to be stuck. You want to move forward, and the only way you move forward is by lifting lifting the leg behind and taking the leg forward. That's the way you move forward. And if you just see it like that, it's never a loss. So you have to, and the only reason why we feel a loss is something goes before something comes. But you must know that when something goes, something comes. And even if it has not come before that thing went, it is coming. So if you just know this one law, that whatever is the replacement is coming, then you will be able to figure out how to deal with that gap which is in between. Yes, so, and Baba says today that, so there is no loss, Baba says. Any loss is also fixed in the drama. Everything continues, everyone continues to make mistakes. However, there definitely has to be some benefit in all circumstances because the Father is the benefactor. And when we are doing things on Srimad, then there will be some benefit because we are following the benefactor Father. Okay. And now I'll also read out, Baba says, those who don't want to study will definitely create obstacles. So those who don't like purity and peace and happiness, they will create trouble for the organization that will go on. And Baba says there will definitely be obstacles in the sacrificial fire, and there will be assaults on innocent ones. So you want to become pure, somebody is benefiting from your impurity, they won't like it, they will trouble you. That's the law. And they should trouble you, shouldn't they? And because, everybody should fight the fight they want to fight. and I, and this theory of survival of the fittest is there. So even, Maya fights for its survival. So people who are into impurity will fight for the survival of impurity. But when you say that you are learning from the Almighty and you have the companionship of the Almighty, the sign of that is you never dread a fight. So somebody is fighting for impurity, then you meditate enough so that they are not able to get to you. So nothing that they do or say or take away or give, or it's not capable of upsetting you. That much you meditate. So Baba says that there will definitely be obstacles in the sacrificial fire, and there will be assaults on innocent ones. So, there was this one person who once tried to defame me, and I told that person, you are wasting your time. It's very difficult to bring me down from my sense of self-respect. So you may waste your time if you choose to, but that won't lead to anything, I can assure you. And I went through that whole process, and in the end, he admitted that he failed. So, so we don't fight with Maya. Baba has given us the tool that you stick to your virtues and you meditate enough that anything on the external is not able to pull you down from your virtuous and powerful state. And Baba says today that all of these things are happening as they did in the previous cycle. Devils create so much upheaval, they even tear up the pictures. So you go and put a pradarshini somewhere and they will tear up the pictures. Sometimes they don't hesitate to set fire to everything. So anger can make anybody do anything. And Baba says, what can we do? And listen how Baba asks you to deal with this situation. Baba says, internally we understand it is destined. So internally, never allow this language, this is wrong, this is unjust, this shouldn't happen, to trouble you. You understand what is happening is supposed to happen every cycle. So internally, you find your peace, stability with the knowledge of drama. And externally, we have to report this to the police. So both the things you have to pay attention to. So internally, you make your peace with yourself, and externally, you follow the law of the land. Okay, which is very important. And in the yajna, what we do is, internally we find our peace and externally we report it to the seniors. So if something happens, so you tell Didi that this thing happened and this sister said this or did this. And then Baba says, you don't take the law in your hands. So once you reported it, let the authority, if you have submitted to the spiritual authority, let them decide. If you have submitted to the worldly authority because it's a worldly matter, then let them take the call. And then you stay in your peace. Okay, so it's important you report, and it's important you stay in your peace, and it's also important that you don't teach the authority to do their job. Because if you start doing that, then you will be messing up with your state of peace. Okay, so that's also there. And Baba says, internally we understand whatever took place in the previous cycle will take place again. There is no question of sorrow about this. So this always happens and we still go to Satyug, so it doesn't matter. And Baba says, when something goes missing from the laundry, there is, of course, a loss, but then another one would be made. So just like, you send clothes to the laundry and then you get back, you give 50 and you get back 49, and then one is lost, and then Baba says, what can you do? You make another one. Baba has already told you, when you hold exhibitions, etc., have that place insured for 8 days. If it is a good person, he won't charge you anything. What does it matter if you don't have insurance? Now Baba says, let's say you didn't have insurance. Okay, then what do? You cry over not the loss, but because you didn't insure it. So how did it help? So Baba says, let's say you didn't get the insurance done and then you had a loss. Then Baba says, what does it matter if you don't have insurance? Very good new pictures would then be created. Okay. So Baba says there is no occasion which permits you to feel sad and feel a sense of loss. We are God's children. If something happens, something goes wrong also, it will be made right. It is okay. And Baba says, multi-millions are earned at every step. Baba says, you are earning spiritual income which is worth more than what you lost physically. And don't lose your spiritual income behind that. Now, but Baba gives a warning also today. Baba says, you shouldn't be careless about such a study. So the only loss is when you forget the Murli, when you forget remembrance of Baba, when you embrace impurity or you don't do seva. So Baba says, just pay attention to this thing, because this is what is going to earn you the position in Satyug, and everything else is just going to come and go, so don't worry about it. Okay, Om Shanti.